Welcome to Vision Forward's Tech Connect Live, connecting you to the world of assistive technology. And now, here are your hosts, Corey and Luke.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome to Tech Connect Live, the first show of 2023.
Yes, January 5th. 2023.
Is it
January?
really?
I think it's January 5th,
Wow.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, January 5th, 2023.
Cole,
Happy New Year.
You're kind of out of frame here.
I was just going to ask you, actually, I started moving. As you can see, nothing has changed in the new year. Well, a year has gone by, and we are running as smooth and tip-top as we always have.
Yes, which means not very smooth on TikTok at all. It's been an interesting start to the day here at Vision Board in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
We should go through, not that Jonathan has time.
Yes.
But I think we should go through all of 2022's Tech Connect Lives.
Yeah.
And cut out every time we start with, man, it's been an interesting start. Because I think we do it pretty much.
It's not our fault, people.
No,
technology is hard. It really
I just think it's funny because I think we pretty much start every session the same
I
way.
completely agree with you. Paula asks, what was the camera's New Year's resolution? I'm assuming this was a joke. This is a joke.
Well, camera 19, I'm going to say 4K.
You were very close. 1080p, which, Paula, in this day and age, that's a little bit low, so I think that camera needs some pocket ideas, to be honest.
Did you, Luke, did you have a good New Year's?
It was very uneventful, actually. Yeah, we actually, New Year's Eve, we did absolutely nothing.
Did you make it to midnight?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Okay, good.
And then New Year's Day, we had some friends over, and that was lovely. But yeah, for the most part, very uneventful. I think you went to a friend's house, correct?
I did. Went over, yeah, it was a family and dogs party. There was many kids and many dogs running around.
Who enjoyed it most, the adults, the kids, or the dogs?
Well, the buddy that I go to loves cooking.
Ooh.
And so there was only like 6 of us there, 6 adults plus a bunch of kids. He had more food than I've ever seen in my life. And so I'm thinking the dogs had the best time because I think they got a lot. Good food and little kids usually means dogs are getting fed.
It's very handy to know a friend who's good at cooking.
Oh, he not only does he love doing it, but he's a crazy good cook.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Hope everybody else had a wonderful New Year's Eve and also a wonderful start to the new year. So far, it hasn't been so bad here. This is our first
5 days in.
Yeah, this is our first week at work since New Year's.
And it was a short week because we were off Monday.
Week, yeah, so far we haven't had any disasters, so I think we're off to a decent start here.
But, I mean, some consider this show a disaster.
Well, I was going to say, we'll see.
We were waiting for Thursday.
We'll see how the show goes today before making any firm decisions. But yes, hope everybody is having a great new year. We are, of course, coming to you from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where the weather today is not too bad. A little bit of light snow, but nothing too crazy. And we are looking forward to talking about screen magnification on your PC today. We are going to be comparing 2 magnification behemoths.
Oh, behemoth.
Yeah. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that word, actually.
I think it's behemoth.
So close. Wait, but there's 2 of them now.
Behemi?
That's what we'll roll with. So, we have the Windows Magnifier, which some of you may be aware of from Microsoft Windows. And also, we have ZoomText, which some of you may be familiar with from Freedom Scientific. But which one is the prime magnification option?
Would you say, I mean, at this point, I'd love for people, so 2 really quick things. Our last Tech Connect Live we did for 2022 back in December was awesome.
Yeah,
tons of great participants, and we'd love the same level of participation.
Indeed, yeah.
So that's my first thing, is I'd obviously use that chat and the Q&A and put as much information as you have. Questions.
Letters and,
owls. If you're part of Harry Potter,
sure. Yeah.
Send us owl mail.
Yeah. Facebook Messenger and
smoke signals.
Yes.
Although we haven't set that up just yet. So
that'll be next week.
We do have a soup can with string. That also works. But my question for you, Luke, is when looking at third-party magnification. So obviously not the Windows one that's built in. Is ZoomText pretty much the only. I mean, I know there's a couple other ones on the market, right? Supernova.
Yeah, I don't know what the situation is with Supernova at the moment, and honestly, I've never really engaged with it that much, which is weird because Dolphin are a British company, so I should probably support them. But yeah,
iZoom.
Yeah,
I don't know if
even think they're going anymore. iZoom.
Yeah,
I mean they were cool because you could run that direct from a USB drive without administrator privileges.
Yeah.
So that was pretty handy back in the day. But yeah, I mean, if anybody knows, if anybody's using anything other than Windows Magnifier, Apple Mac built-in magnification, or ZoomText, then
it does. Yeah, it does seem like ZoomText is kind of the behemoth of third-party magnifiers at this point.
Yeah, definitely the one that in my history I've always been most aware of. But I don't know. Maybe that's a US thing. You know?
And I'm not aware of any like on the screen reader side. You have NVDA as a free open source.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of really any free open source magnifiers outside again of built into the operating system.
That's a really great point, and I wonder if it's just because the built-in accessibility is good. But really, the Windows stuff didn't start to get good until Windows 10. So who knows? If anybody has any insight, please let us know. This is a very audience participation directed show. We love to hear from people in the audience who've got experience and want to give their 2 cents. So feel free to put in the chat or the Q&A any comments you might have as we go through here. In the Q&A we do have something, but of course it's a joke because we also love jokes. This joke from Gary: why was the snowman rummaging through a bag of carrots?
Wow. Well, it's gonna be something about like his nose.
Yes.
Couldn't smell. He knows no better. No,
you're on the right track. He was picking his nose.
Oh, that's pretty good.
We do enjoy sound effects on this show. And
that one is pretty good.
That one gets. Thank you.
He's picking his nose.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
New year, jokes are still as bad as ever. So
some would say worse.
We still have 2.
We have 2 jokes?
Yeah.
Holy cow. All right, so Jonathan is going to give us our joke for today, or it sounds like we might have 2. Jonathan, joke away. What do we have?
Right, well, we're always willing to compete with our viewers for best joke.
Yeah.
This one I found just this morning. Corey, you were talking about wonderful New Year's Eve meals. I know that me and my sister cooked an awful lot, but appetizers are always a bit of a pain. I know that we were spending a long time cutting up some cheese, sausages, and all that.
Sure.
But with that in mind, what is something that nobody should eat on New Year's Eve?
The Big Apple.
Oh, maybe.
Close.
In fact, it is firecrackers.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Give us a...
Oh, no. What I meant to say was... There we go.
Firecrackers.
And then just the second one here.
Yes.
What is a New Year's resolution that no basketball player should ever make?
Something to do with hoops?
Missing donkey steel. I'm not sure.
Well, you wouldn't want them to travel more.
Oh, there you
go. Thank you, Jonathan. That was Jonathan's debut, I think, in telling jokes. He did a wonderful job. So.
Except you want him twice.
Well, I mean, nobody's perfect,
I actually hear it on a delay, so I don't actually get to respond.
All right, everybody. So I guess we should probably get this party started. That was a good New Year's pun, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, thank
you.
The
wise words of Pink. Let's get this party started.
Is that a Pink song?
Yeah.
No idea.
I actually heard it in the car on the way in this one. That's the only reason I thought of it.
Congratulations. All right, here is our computer. For those of you who can't see, we are displaying the computer on the screen here. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what a computer is, well, you're probably not going to get a lot out of this show.
I'm pretty sure you're probably on a computer viewing the show, so I'm guessing there are certain assumptions we can make today.
This is a computer. We are running the esteemed Windows 11.
Yes.
For those of you not running Windows 11, you might be running Windows 10.
Yeah.
For those of you not running Windows 10, you're probably not running Windows 8, but you might be running Windows 7.
Which I recommend upgrading to Windows 10 or 11 immediately.
Yes. For those of you not running Windows 7, you're probably running Windows XP. My question would be, how did that happen? And also, how is that computer even working?
Yeah.
Although saying that, I did go to a client's house and he had a computer with Windows XP.
That's pretty good.
And it was such a long time since I used it, I couldn't even remember how to do anything.
That's funny.
Yeah, crazy. Anyway, so this computer here, we're running Windows 11, the latest version of Windows, and we have ZoomText Magnifier Reader 2022 on the screen. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with ZoomText Magnifier Reader, this is a screen magnification software. You do have to purchase it. It is available from Freedom Scientific, and you can do one of two things: either purchase outright, or you can subscribe. Their subscription price, Corey, is...
Well, I'm guessing it's the same as Jaws, but maybe I'm wrong.
I actually don't know. So how much is Jaws?
$90 a year.
Okay, and that's...
I'm going to assume that ZoomText is probably darn close, but
yes.
I bet you if we stall just a little bit longer,
then maybe somebody will be able to find out.
Maybe a producer might be typing away. But yeah, anyways, the Jaws is 90. I'm guessing it's going to be
Now,
very
do you
similar.
have to pay that upfront, or can you pay month by month?
Nope, you typically need to pay it up front once a year.
But considering the retail price of these things is generally pretty high, like ZoomText was always around the 800 mark or
$595,
well, for
I
the
believe.
magnifier reader, though.
Yeah. Fusion, then obviously you're going way up, but that's because.
Jonathan.
The website says that for a student annual license, $80 a year. For home use,
Yes.
$85.
85.
Oh,
okay,
you
so
save
that'd be close.
$5.
You save
Okay.
$5 compared to Jaws, yeah.
I tend to, the client, when I work with clients for Jaws, I tend to lean towards the subscription based now. I think that the upfront, there's a couple benefits to it. First, it's a much less, it's much less upfront, right? $85 or $90 a year versus the $600 to $1,000 upfront. It always, as long as you continue to pay, you always have access, and you always get access to the newest version.
Right.
The other one of the issues if you purchase ZoomText straight out, if you don't purchase the SMA or software maintenance agreement, then each year there is going to be a $200 or so cost to upgrade. And the more years you let that gap go, the more it's going to cost you. So even though you buy it outright, yes, most of the time that's probably going to be okay for a good number of years. It's not like you always have to have the latest and greatest, but at some point you are going to end up paying probably close to $400 or $500 again to upgrade. So at that point, $85, you're looking, you can get an easy 5 years or more.
Oh yeah. I think there's a philosophical discussion to be had, probably not right now, but about the whole software as a service kind of setup that more and more companies are migrating toward, and the fact that you are essentially renting, so you spend significant amounts of money without actually owning anything.
Sure.
And it's an interesting kind of conundrum, whether that's a good thing or not. There's a lot of positives to it, but also, there's no ownership. Now, I think with people doing stuff like streaming movies and everything, being so used to doing that type of thing and not owning any of that content. Session today.
Streaming. Are we streaming still to YouTube though?
Well, that's a great question. Hey, okay, we're back again. Excellent. Thank you, everybody. I'm not sure if we're streaming to YouTube at this point. I can stop and start streaming
the
in
YouTube
OBS.
stream is active.
Oh, there we go. Excellent. That was very good. Okay, hopefully we won't lose internet again.
Don't mind me on camera. I took all my stuff off because I was trying to check everything.
You can tell it's the new year. It's it's going to be one of those days.
Just gonna shut your internet down.
Yes, indeed.
We paid the bill.
I certainly hope so. Anyway, as we were saying, so ZoomText, yes, the subscription model is a possibility. What we wanted to do
Maybe that was Freedom Scientific shutting us down.
Probably was.
Spare was like, dude, don't you stop talking.
So, yes, we wanted to talk about the pros and cons of ZoomText versus Windows Magnifier. So one of the cons here is that we do have to pay for it, okay? So do be aware of that from the top. And that also does tie into another con with ZoomText, which is that this is something which has to be installed on a computer. So it's not something which is going to be built in from the start. So let's say that you are a ZoomText user, and let's say that you're working from home, and let's say that you have ZoomText installed and everything's working great. And now your company says, hey, we need you to come back in the office, and you are going to be going in and using a different workstation. Or let's say that you're at a company and you have ZoomText installed locally on one computer, and now you have to start using a different computer for whatever reason. This is then going to cause a problem, because you need to have ZoomText installed on the other computer as well. If you just want to go over to that other computer and start using it, you're not going to have ZoomText Text available on that computer. So we are talking about a little bit more of a hassle here if you do need to use multiple workstations. Now, depending on your setup, maybe that's fine. It doesn't really matter, but it's something worth bearing in mind. From a business perspective, a business can have a license on a server and potentially then could have ZoomText installed on every computer without having to pay for, a separate installation of ZoomText on every computer. And maybe in that case, then you can use any of those workstations, but that's going to depend on your workplace, and whether they have got that set up. In a place like Vision Forward, where we're dealing with people with vision impairments on a regular basis, then obviously that's probably more likely than if you are working for a company where you're the only person with a visual impairment or one of the only ones. Now, if you're talking home use, it's probably not so much of an issue, because if you're talking home use, then obviously you're probably just using the one computer. Although I guess these days maybe that's not even the case. But yeah, it might be the case that you only have one computer, in which case you have ZoomText installed on that computer. That's fine, but if that computer dies or you decide to replace it, then you are going to have to reinstall ZoomText on the new computer. So something worth bearing in mind. For us, it's not a big deal to install and activate ZoomText, but depending on your comfort, it might be that is more of a big deal for you. So let's talk about ZoomText capabilities, and I think this is where we're going to see the pros for ZoomText in terms of what it offers. Now, I've got to say, I'm not a ZoomText expert. There's a lot of things that you can do with ZoomText, and there's a lot of stuff which really the general user probably isn't doing. So I'm going to run you through kind of the advantages that I see. And what usually benefits kind of your regular ZoomText user.
Yeah.
And first of all, what we're going to talk about is just features. ZoomText is very feature rich, and this is one of the things that makes it stand out compared to the built-in accessibility options. Now, Windows has got a lot better with its features, particularly since Windows 10, and they had better accessibility, then they added even more in an update, and that's carried across to Windows 11. But ZoomText still has a lot more going on, and one of those things is this font smoothing technology. And what that will do is basically, as you zoom in at those higher levels of magnification, it ensures that any writing stays sharp. And this is, traditionally been a problem. If you zoom in on something, it starts to get a little blurry. And obviously when we're dealing with vision loss, then blur is not ideal. With the font smoothing built into ZoomText, we tend to find that as we zoom up, stuff stays nice and sharp. And you can even actually choose to make stuff bold as well, which is a nice little feature. So there is some menu diving if you want to kind of set some of these things up. But let's try and zoom in here with ZoomText, and we will see how things look. So we're zooming up.
6.
We're on 6 times magnification at the moment. Now, this is a pretty high level of magnification. I think Corey and I agree that if you need more than, say, 8 times magnification, at that point you should probably be looking at a screen reader, and even before that maybe. But here at 6 times magnification, we are looking at the icons on the desktop, and the text here that's underneath those icons is still very nice and sharp. It's almost as if let's say that you have some white writing and you put a bold black line around it to make it really stand out. It's almost like that's kind of what you're getting here. It's nice and sharp and definitely readable. So that's one of the advantages that you will be getting with ZoomText, and I think that's a pretty big advantage if you need those higher levels of magnification. If you don't, it doesn't make so much difference. If you're using 2.5 times, 3 times magnification, you're not going to get as much benefit from this font smoothing. You might find that the Windows magnifier is perfectly suitable, but if you do need these higher levels, then I think it makes a difference. Now, is that worth the subscription cost? Well, definitely if it allows you to use the computer. So it's one of those things where you can try the Windows magnifier. If it's sufficient, then great. If it's not, then you could try ZoomText. And I believe, I think it runs in 40 minutes mode now if you don't have an authorization.
That's correct. It'll work just, yep, exactly.
Which is what JAWS used to do. So if you download ZoomText, you actually get the full program. And with the full program, then you can run it for 40 minutes at a time before having to restart your computer. And so it gives you a good way. You can use it as much as you want for 40 minutes at a time. I mean, you could theoretically use it for 40 minutes, then reboot your computer, use it for another 40 minutes, reboot your computer. It'd be a pain, but you could do it. But it gives you at least, as much time as you need to try it out and make sure that it works for you. We have a question from Svetlana here. Why are we using 2022 and not 2023? I think that's just because that's the license that we have on the server here.
We have a network version of both actually a Fusion, but our PO has not yet cleared for the 2023 upgrade. Okay. So that is why.
Yep, so Svetlana says that 2023 has a new feature called Tethered View. Svetlana, I would love you to tell us about that in the chat. So if you wanted to type something about Tethered View in the chat, that would be fantastic. So the ZoomText control panel here gives us a nice way to control ZoomText. It's probably a little better than the Windows control panel, which is kind of basic. Here in the ZoomText control panel, we have all of the basic, all of the functions that we would want laid out in a pretty easy to use way. And we have a lot of customizability. With the Windows magnifier, we have a few different options. With ZoomText, we have a number of different options, including the custom setup of things. So, for example, with the Windows mouse pointer options, if we want to enlarge the mouse pointer, we can do so. We can make it real nice and large, and we can change the color of it, and we can choose custom colors for it. So, Windows is pretty good in that regard. But with ZoomText here, we have more options. So, for example, here, if we go to some preset schemes, we have stuff like crosshairs on our pointer. So let's check that out quick. So with the crosshairs now, not only do we have a larger and brighter mouse pointer, but we also have crosshairs vertical and horizontal, and those can help us to locate the pointer. If we don't see the pointer itself, but we see a crosshair, we can then just follow that crosshair back to where the pointer is. So that just gives us a bit more assistance there in finding the pointer. Can't do that in Windows. Another example here would be as we're moving the mouse pointer, we can have a circle appear around the mouse pointer. Again, just these additional visual cues to help us locate the mouse pointer. Now, you can have stuff like with the Windows, you can have the, what's it called, when you move the mouse pointer and you get the trail, the pointer trail behind it.
Yeah.
So there's stuff like that you can do in Windows. But ZoomText definitely has a bit more customizability. And in fact, with any of the options with ZoomText here, we can go into the settings and create complete custom setups. So let's say that we want an extra large mouse pointer in pink, and when we press the control key, we want crosshairs to appear. We want those to be thick, and we want them to be orange, okay? So that's how we want our setup for us, and we can completely do that with the customizability that ZoomText offers us. We don't get that same level of customizability in Windows. So you would expect that. You're paying for this software, so you do expect it to be more feature-rich, and definitely ZoomText delivers in that regard. So just to run through some of the features here, quick, some of the main features. We have color options to change the color of things on the screen. Again, we can do this in Windows with high contrast mode, and the Windows magnifier has a color invert, but we just have more options in ZoomText. We can make everything grayscale, we can make everything blue, we can make everything yellow. There's more customizability in terms of those visual color options.
And I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong or if you know, but one of the not only can you customize all of this in ZoomText, but you can customize it on a program-specific basis.
Yes.
Unlike Windows.
Yes, exactly.
So, for example, if in Microsoft Word you like a invert color, black background with white, and you like your mouse pointer this size and your cursor blah, 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 but then in Outlook or Chrome, you like a different setup, you can set all those up individually, and each time you open or switch to that program, ZoomText will automatically switch all of those visual settings to exactly what you want per program.
Exactly, yeah. So again, just more customizability for getting stuff set up exactly how you need it. We have pointer, which we were just looking at, different pointer options. We have cursor, again, to highlight the text cursor as we're typing. Windows, again, has some text cursor highlighting, but it's fairly limited. With ZoomText, we have more options for how those are highlighted and the colors that they're using and so on and so forth. And then ZoomText has this focus mode, which I find kind of handy.
Yeah, me too.
There's no real equivalent with Windows that I found. So with the focus mode, anything that we click on will be highlighted. And again, you can customize this. The standard is a red box. So let's say I click on this Stream Deck icon here. And we get a red box around it, and that red box lets us know that this is what's currently selected.
And if I'm not mistaken, you can also, if you like a good computer user, if you start to use more and more keyboard commands,
Yes.
as you're tabbing or arrowing, it's that focus is gonna continue to move for you too, and kind of help you focus in on the screen of where you are on the screen.
Yeah, so from a visual perspective, it really does help you keep track if you are starting to use more keyboard keys, as Corey says. So if we arrow around the icons on the desktop here, as we move between them, we will get that focusing square, and that's going to help us keep track visually of where we are. Now, we are also getting speech output here, and I'm not sure if you guys are able to hear that through our microphones, but as we arrow through here, we're getting speech output.
Shortcut.
And so this is another advantage that ZoomText offers. We can get speech output, which is tied in with our magnification. And so we can get the audio side of things and the visual side of things. Now with Windows, the magnifier does have a speech output option, also a text-to-speech option. And we can use that to read any text that's on the screen. And we can kind of choose a short modifier key for that and use that to read aloud. So that's definitely handy, but the ZoomText one is a little bit more integrated. There's a number of reading tools that we can use, and there's also echo under the mouse pointer that we can use. So if we move the mouse pointer on top of something, it will automatically read it aloud for us. And then we also have reading tools. Let's say we're in a Word document, we can actually open that Word document and put the words into a custom, accessible, easy to see kind of reader. And so there's a number of different reading options in ZoomText which are useful. I have to say though, that, and I think this is one of the downsides, oftentimes I found those reading tools not to work properly. And I don't know if it's just me or what, but oftentimes, I'll be with a user, we'll be trying to read something from the internet, we'll be trying to read an email, and it just won't read it properly.
Yeah.
Now, this can be a problem with the Windows as well, but you would expect ZoomText to be a little bit better in that regard, and I haven't had the greatest experience with some of that read aloud stuff. Where that's been different has been with ZoomText Fusion. And this is another advantage of ZoomText. It comes in a few different flavors. ZoomText Fusion is a combination of the ZoomText magnification stuff and the JAWS screen reading software. And that really is a full package. It's giving you a full screen reader along with full screen magnification as well. The advantage to that is that the screen reader works really well in terms of reading everything aloud to you. And if you are trying to transition from visual computer use to non-visual computer use, then you've got everything that you need right in one package. And the idea would be that you kind of, you're using the magnification side of things, but you're starting to transition away and working more toward using the computer non-visually. Now that's, that type of thing is beneficial for anybody, no matter their level of vision. If you can learn some kind of efficiencies in terms of using the keyboard more and shortcuts and so on and so forth, then that's going to be advantageous. And obviously with the ZoomText Fusion, as you do anything, you're getting speech output to just confirm what you're doing and let you know what you're doing and help you navigate around. So ZoomText Fusion is a full package, and you can't really get that type of thing just using the Windows built-in accessibility. Now, you could run Windows Magnifier with Windows Narrator. That would be the Windows Magnifier and the Windows built-in screen reader. But those two aren't necessarily designed to play together, and so you're not necessarily going to get the best experience. I've also, in the past for people, I have used NVDA and put it into the mode where it will echo what's underneath the mouse pointer and use that with the Windows Magnifier too. And that's pretty nice because you do get that speech output from whatever the mouse pointer is in, but it tends to be a little bit too verbose for those clients who just need the magnification side of things for the most part. So not necessarily the best solution there. Melissa asks us, can ZoomText be used for people using MacBooks? And the answer is no. As far as no, they don't have that anymore.
They used to have a Mac version of ZoomText, and I think they just realized that the development and investment wasn't worth it. Most people were just using Zoom, and so there is no longer at this point. I'm only aware of Zoom as the magnification option for Apple OS.
Yeah, and I've got to be honest, that is a little bit disappointing because personally, I think that Apple is a little bit behind with their accessibility stuff for Vision, and maybe it's just me, but what I see, they only have their accessibility available really, and I just don't think they have all the features you would want. So it's a bit of a shame that ZoomText isn't available on there. But anyway, that's the way it is. Svetlana has come back to us with the tethered view.
Oh, good.
Says tethered view is a new feature available in ZoomText and Fusion. When using higher zoom levels, there is often an activity that occurs on the screen but is outside of the magnified viewing area. Tethered view opens a new window inside the magnified area that brings that activity into view. For instance, the Windows Start menu search and its result. Now that's really cool. With the Start menu though, if you hit the Windows key, it will refocus you in the search box because it's going to follow the text.
Should, yeah.
The text
but I could see if it works, like when you get a little notification down, if it pops that up potentially.
But if you're using Fusion, I mean, it's going to read that aloud anyway. So
if you have the speech part on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using Fusion, you definitely should have the speech on. I would have thought. I mean, I guess not necessarily though. Maybe.
I guess it depends on the person what they.
Yeah.
One more thing on the tethered view. It looks like it's been integrated into Microsoft Excel and Word, so that specifically comments and sort of formulas within Excel will be displayed like alongside it rather than being at a different part of the screen.
That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like there's some nice little features there. We need to get 2023, and maybe we can do a video on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Tether view.
Talking of talking, as we were doing just now.
Talking.
Yeah. There is another advantage to ZoomText, which is different voices that sound pretty realistic. Microsoft has they've got David and.
That's I forget.
Do they have a female voice?
I forget what her name is. They had the old Microsoft Sam.
Yeah.
Well, Mary. But those are,
David sounds really good. He's a really good male voice, but maybe you don't get on well with him for some reason if you've had a falling out or whatever. ZoomText offers a number of other voices. And so we can go ahead and...
That's actually a big chunk of the cost of JAWS and ZoomText is the access to all the vocalizer expressive voices.
Yeah, so you basically, when you're buying the ZoomText software, then you're getting, or the ZoomText Magnifier Reader at least, and Fusion, then you're getting these vocalizer expressive voices, which are, kind of high quality text-to-speech voices. We can check some of these out. Let's check out a British one, why not? We'll check out Daniel here, see what he sounds like. I don't know if you guys can hear. I'm going to try and get my mic close here.
Play sample. My name is Daniel and I am a UK English voice available for use with Freedom Scientific products such as JAWS.
Is Samantha on there?
Let me have a look. By the way, anybody who could hear that isn't what British people sound like. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. I thought it was you talking for a minute. That's good.
Let's listen to Samantha here.
Samantha, English, United States.
Are you a fan of Samantha?
Well, I'll tell you, you'll see here in a second.
My name is Samantha, and I am a United States English voice available for use with Freedom Scientific products such as JAWS.
That is the default voiceover on the iPhone. Is Samantha.
Interesting. Hey, Samantha. So we have
Hi, Samantha.
we have a number of available voices to choose from. They all sound pretty good. Some are better than others, but you can choose to go ahead and download those and install them, and they're included in the cost that you've paid for the software. Fusion will come by default with Eloquence, which is the JAWS voice, and so if you don't like that voice, then you do have to go ahead and change that yourself in the menus there. Some good voices to choose from. So that's definitely a plus for the ZoomText software. Jonathan has
just a note from YouTube. Can we increase the audio output on the laptop?
Oh, yeah, well, we can, yeah. We'll try it here.
General Windows Shell X Wi-Fi.
I'm not sure how much more audio from the laptop we're going to need. There we go.
That's fine. It's just a comment. So.
Yeah, it's only coming over my microphone, unfortunately, because we don't have audio running over the HDMI.
I see. Never mind then.
Another thing with ZoomText that I do like is they introduce this little control panel on the right side of the screen. You can get rid of it if you want, but it's just basically a thin line at the right edge of the screen there. And that one gives you quick access to all of the functions. So you can minimize the main ZoomText control panel that we're seeing here and instead use the control bar on the right side of the screen. I would suggest it's probably better to memorize keyboard shortcuts, especially for those things that you'll be doing all the time, like zooming in and out, for example, because otherwise you would have to go to the right side of the screen every time you wanted to zoom in, and that would be a pain. But it does give you good access to things like enabling and disabling the voices, changing colors, and zooming in and out if you need to do that, changing the mouse pointer, and so on and so forth. So it's a good quick access toolbar that's available. And also, Corey, you'll be glad to hear, because you wanted me to mention this, that you can also talk to Zoomy from there.
Hey Zoomy, increase magnification.
2.7.
Ooh, wow, that was snappy. I mean, you could just do caps lock up arrow, but you know.
Why do that when you can talk to Zoomy? This is an advantage. I'm doing quote marks here. This is an advantage.
How about if let me try something. Hold on. Hey Zoomy, invert colors. I don't know if that works. Oh. Did it work?
It worked, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you can control the main features of ZoomText with Zoomy. This is the quote-unquote artificial
I just have an issue. I have an issue with Zoomy and Sharky for JAWS. I just can't take it seriously.
I can't imagine why, Corey. It's a very serious bit.
I mean, Zoomy's a little better than Sharky. Sharky's really bad. But anyways. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so you can talk to JAWS and you can talk to ZoomText, as Corey very ably demonstrated.
Yeah, thank you.
Round of applause for Corey.
Yay, thank you.
Demonstration. To carry out certain functions. Now, obviously, there is a bit of a delay there, so if you can do it another way, it's probably better to do it any other way than that. But, some people cognitively just get on better with saying stuff aloud. So.
And for those that are in the chat that use Zoom, if you use Zoomy, I'd love to know what is, and maybe it's just one certain task, maybe it's whatever. Yeah. But if you use it, I'd love to know where you find it to be most efficient.
I mean, it works.
It does. Yeah. Again, it does absolutely. I find that I'm a very impatient person, so. For something you do a lot, like increase and decrease magnification, caps lock up, caps lock down is so much faster than saying, Zoomy, increase. Like that took, 15 seconds?
It was awful.
I mean, that's just too,
I would never do that.
And although I guess maybe let me try something. I just am curious. Hey, Zoomy, change Did he even hear
Come
me?
on, Zoomy.
Hey, Zoomy. Okay.
Try again.
Hey, Zoomy, change magnification to 8 times. I'm not even sure if that's right.
8.
Yeah. It did. So that potentially could be nice, although I think there's ways to, keep. Anyways.
I would be interested. We should do this one day. We should set up 2 computers. One person is going to be using caps lock up arrow to zoom in. One person is going to be using Zoomy, and we're going to go from 0 to 8 times, and we're going to start and see who gets
Sure,
first.
I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know.
I don't care that much. I'm just kidding.
Come on, Corey, some enthusiasm here. But yeah, as we can see, if you want to talk to ZoomText, you can do it. And you can't talk to the Windows magnifier, so we're going to put that in the plus column. Why not?
Although if you turn on speech recognition, you can then say press Windows key up arrow, and it would do the same thing.
If you're using the Windows speech service. Yeah, but then who's going to be saying...
I'm just saying.
For the type of user who wants voice recognition, I don't know they'll be doing that. Jonathan.
Yes, we do have a comment from the live stream on YouTube.
Hello.
It's concerning LibreOffice.
Okay.
They want to know if ZoomText is compatible with it.
Yeah, ZoomText will be compatible with any software. So if you're using OpenOffice, then you'll still be able to zoom in, change the colors. Now, I'm not saying that the tethered view stuff that Svetlana was talking about has any compatibility. Probably not. But if you're just looking to use it to zoom in and change the colors and all of that type of stuff, read stuff aloud to you, then yes, it will.
Yeah.
Although you potentially you may encounter more issues with voice stuff, reading out loud, just because depending on if there's access to the, but from the magnification and color contrast, there should be very little conflicts across software.
If you're specifically interested in ZoomText reading that stuff aloud to you, my suggestion would be download the demo and try out. Is going to be the best way.
Yeah. Another good way too would be if this isn't 100%, but if Narrator can access it. You could use Windows Narrator for free. If that can access it, then that is a a good.
it probably is accessible.
Yeah, exactly.
Mandy in the chat, thank you for this, Mandy, says you can say 5, so let's give this a try.
Oh.
Go for it, Corey.
Hey, Zoomy. 5.
5.
Oh, I like that even better. All right.
We're slowly getting this faster and faster.
Yeah. All right, let me try one more.
Okay.
Hey, Zoomy. 4.
4.
Yeah! I didn't even have to say the full word. I could do
That
this
could have been 5, though. How did it know which one you wanted?
because I said "fu," not "fi."
Oh, I'm starting to think this is the best feature.
I am an
in the
efficient
world.
machine. Anything less I can say.
So, Mandy, I'm guessing that you use the voice. I might be completely off on this, but Mandy, maybe you use the voice commands. If you do, then let us know what you like about them. Okay, one more thing about ZoomText here, and then we'll take a quick look at the Windows magnifier. ZoomText
Yes.
also has the ability to do OCR with a separate camera. I hope I'm right in saying this. You used to be able to buy a camera. It was essentially a webcam. It would connect to ZoomText, and you could use it then to do OCR on documents. In the tools section of ZoomText here, we still have the camera, and we can launch camera, and I'm assuming you can...
Should use our built-in webcam
Oh, that's a good
on the
point. I never thought
laptop.
about that.
And is it OCR, or I thought it was CCTV?
Well, it is
Or
CCTV.
both?
It is CCTV, but I thought you could do OCR as well.
That would make sense since they built OCR into
Well, it has
JAWS.
the
I could
engine
see.
anyway,
Yeah,
so-
exactly.
Although looking at it now, I don't see any option that says OCR, so maybe I'm lying. Well, okay, we can at least use it as a CCTV. So if you have, I mean, with the built-in camera on the laptop, it doesn't make any sense to do this. But
No, you're blocking the screens again.
but they used to sell a camera, basically a webcam on a stand that you could use for this. I don't know if they still do, to be honest, but if you have a webcam and you have some kind of stand for it, or some kind of document camera, then you could then use that as a CCTV using the ZoomText here. So you could zoom in and you
Usually
could
the
change
delay
colors
was so bad on
Well,
it,
that
though,
was
right?
the
What
problem,
what
yeah.
was the one that we had here for a while?
IPEVO.
Yeah, and I think they work, but it's the ghosting and the refresh rate. They're just so
Yeah,
bad that it's so hard to read. But
nowhere near,
in a pickle.
well, in our tradition, in our experience, nowhere near as good as using a dedicated CCTV. But you know, maybe it's good enough for whatever you need to do. So,
yeah, sometimes the best tool is the one you have.
yeah. So I like ZoomText. Here's my big problem with it.
Yes, hit me.
Just so many issues, technical performance issues. Oh my gosh, it's awful. Like a very common one that I've had is like screen tearing, just awful lag. I mean, if you're a professional and you're trying to get stuff done and everything's lagging, it's just going to be so frustrating.
We have 2 staff members here who have stopped using ZoomText on a day-to-day basis because the overall, not so much the crashing, although there's enough of that, although it has gotten better, but for them the biggest issue has been performance. Just lagging, moving, opening, it's too much for them. They can't, it's too frustrating, and they can't get work done as fast as they'd want to do it. And anyone knows that uses a computer, you could say like, oh, it just took a second. Like it is so frustrating, though.
Yeah,
you know,
really
I mean, it seems like an eternity.
It does, yeah. If you're using a computer every day and your computer's lagging, you're going to feel it in the worst possible way. Now, if you look at the specs, I was looking at the specs for ZoomText Fusion recently, and it's recommending like 16 gigs of RAM and an i7 processor. It's pretty high specifications.
That's expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Computer-wise.
So I don't know. It's an issue. It's a real issue. I installed ZoomText Fusion for somebody recently. They were using it to do their job, super essential for them, and it just completely quit working and said there was a problem with the video drivers and it doesn't even start. And you know, you just can't be dealing with that when you're trying to do a job, you know, or even if you're at home. I mean, whatever you're doing, it's just too much.
Yeah. I mean, we talked when this started. We for me, there's three reasons why where ZoomText maybe falls apart a little bit, because you covered a lot of really, really good pros to ZoomText, but I think the 3 biggest cons you mentioned, one is that you have to install it. 2, you can't just walk up to any, there's a cost, obviously.
Yep.
We talked about that.
Yep.
And third is the reliability and performance. And that's a
the
big
main
one.
one. That's the
Yeah,
main
it's
one,
really
yeah.
a big one.
So definitely super good features, but also I'm always a little concerned whenever I give it to a client. And I have been doing ZoomText Fusion for people quite a bit recently because I really like the way that it ties in magnification and screen reading, and I've had clients that makes a lot of sense for. But there's always that concern there that there's going to be an issue. So use it at your risk. Maybe you use it and it's completely fine, and that's awesome. But I've seen a lot of ZoomText issues in my time.
If you're laying out, if you're a professional or someone who's going to be using it at home and you're purchasing ZoomText and purchasing a new computer, do not skimp on the computer.
Yeah, seriously.
Again, an i7 processor and 16 gigs of RAM, that's pretty, I mean, for nowadays, that's a little more common, but that's still pretty high specs that you're going to need. You're going to be
i7, you're probably paying a fair bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to be paying well over $1,000 in most cases to land those two specs. So,
And I think probably as well, you need to be careful with the video card as well. I mean, I assume that's playing a role here.
I would think so. I would think so, but.
Also, I've had anybody. I don't mean to keep on bashing on ZoomText here, but
Started the whole first half was good, though.
Yeah, exactly. But people always remember the last bit. That's a problem.
That's true. That's true.
But anyway, I've had issues with docks as well, and I think this might be actually a video card issue where if you connect a dock and then connect to an external monitor through the dock, now ZoomText just does not run properly at all. So that might be an issue as well.
Okay.
We don't have too long here, so I do want to jump over to the Windows magnifier and take a look at the pros and cons. I mean, we've already been talking about it, so that's fine.
And we have covered it in past videos and old Tech Talk Live sessions too. So anyone, we've done a whole hour on just the Windows magnifier, so you can always go back through our channel and check those out as well.
For the moment, let's go ahead and get the Windows magnifier up here. Okay, so first of all, it's baked into the operating system, so we're not having to worry about purchasing anything. We know any computer that we go to, if we do a Windows Plus, then the magnifier is going to turn on, and that's awesome. So
it's a huge benefit.
Yeah, it really is a massive benefit. You can go to the library, you can use multiple workstations at work, or use your husband or wife's computer at home instead of your own. If you're using Windows Magnifier, it's like you've got this safety net right there for you. Now we will zoom up here to a higher level. And this is what this looks like. I actually don't know what magnification level we're on, sadly. Let's see if we can find out here. Where did the control button? Here we go.
Hey Zoomy. Oh wait. No. Hey Windy.
Hey Windy. That's the future. All right, so we're at 6 times magnification here, which I think is what we were rocking.
8. We went up to
8.
No, I'm sorry, 6.
Yeah,
You're right. You're
okay.
6. Yep.
So there is a noticeable difference here. Now the Windows magnifier doesn't look horrible here on the text of these icons.
Now we are going across to Zoom for those on Zoom and to YouTube,
so
so you
maybe
it might be worse than it actually is, but.
Yeah, from here, eyeballing this, it doesn't look terrible. I can definitely see a difference though. We don't have that kind of nice, bold outline, crisp white and black.
That font smoothing that you were talking about.
Okay. Here, yeah. That said, I'm pretty sure that they've improved this quite a bit since it was first. Definitely since Windows 7, for example. It looks a lot clearer than it ever used to. So I think it's definitely usable, but maybe not as good as the ZoomText there. As Corey said, we cannot talk to the Windows magnifier, so that's basically why are we even doing this show? I mean, that's right there is. I
agree.
ZoomText is the best. Let's.
You could hire me though, and I'll just sit at your computer, and you can say you can call me anything you want, and then I'll just do the keyboard command. Yeah. It's a good second job.
Yeah, seriously. Windows magnifier features here. These aren't just Windows magnifier. They're general Windows accessibility features. I mean, we've talked about this before in other shows, but let's just quickly review. I forgot we're in Windows 11, so we have to get to it like this.
A side note, as you're bringing it up, I don't like Windows 11.
I'm not a massive fan. How can I say?
And I really didn't want to become that person.
I know. They've just made stuff harder as far as a lot of things. Plus,
get off my lawn.
Seriously, can we just downgrade? Let's just do that. Anyway, so Windows accessibility, whether you're Windows 10 or Windows 11, you're gonna have access to these. They're a little different. Windows 11 is terming this stuff accessibility, which is more in line with everything else. Windows 10, it was under ease of access, which is the more traditional Windows way of terming these accessibility features. But there's a bunch of things that we can do to make our computer more accessible, including some stuff that you wouldn't have with ZoomText. So, for example, we can change screen resolution to make everything bigger. I'm not going to do that here because I don't want to mess up. Yeah.
I was just going to say.
I don't want to mess up our connection. But we can change screen resolution and it will make everything bigger. So we might not need to use the magnifier. The problem with the magnifier, and this isn't necessarily a problem, but a lot of people use the magnifier in full screen mode. In full screen mode, if you are zoomed in, then you are not going to see everything on the screen. So now you have to move the mouse to pan around. That is confusing for a lot of people. Now you don't have to run the magnifier in full screen mode. You can run it in different ways. So with Windows here, we have a lens mode. ZoomText also has a lens mode, or you can use a docked mode. Or actually, I forgot to mention, this is one big plus of ZoomText, why I definitely would buy it.
Yeah.
Because it supports multiple monitor setups, whereas Windows Magnifier, it will do the same magnification across any monitors that you have connected. Whereas with ZoomText, you can set up individual...
Which monitors you want it to be. Okay.
Individual magnification and color settings and so on and so forth on individual monitors. So if you're using a multi-monitor setup, ZoomText is definitely worth considering for that. But anyway, as I was saying, if you don't want to use the magnifier because it's confusing, it might be that using the Windows accessibility settings, you can change screen resolution, make everything bigger, and not have to use the magnifier. So that's pretty handy dandy. We also have things like the mouse pointer adjustment, which we also have in ZoomText, but actually the Windows mouse pointer gets bigger than the ZoomText mouse pointer can. So,
really?
Yeah, so on the extra large ZoomText mouse pointer setting, it's nowhere near as large as the biggest Windows accessibility
Interesting.
setting. Yeah, so you can make it real nice and large, and then we can go ahead and change colors as well, so that's pretty handy. Obviously, you can change colors in ZoomText also. We also have the ability to adjust the text cursor and have text cursor indicators. Again, ZoomText does this. ZoomText has more options here, but we can do this in Windows and change the size of them and change the color of them also. The main thing is going to be the magnifier, and the magnifier, like I say, it's not super feature rich, and the quality of the image isn't quite as good, but it does have what you would need. So it zooms in and out real nice and snappy as well. If I'm zooming here, it's going to be very responsive. So I've never really had an issue with it on any computer. As I pan around, real nice and snappy as well. There's no screen tearing, no issues with lag or anything like that.
And for zooming, it's Windows up arrow and Windows down arrow. No, Windows plus and minus. That's what I meant.
It gets confusing when you're using multiple software. Yeah. So ZoomText would be caps lock up and down arrows. Windows magnifier, Windows plus and minus. And we also have stuff that we can do with keyboard shortcuts like inverting the colors with a Control-Alt-I as well. So that will invert our colors. And we also have high contrast modes in Windows, which are pretty nifty. They will basically apply intelligent high contrast themes across the computer. Windows 11 has a few different ones to choose from, and they really can make things pop in a very good way. Also, though, it can make things, depending on the software that you're using, sometimes it makes the software unusable because the color that it applies makes it so that you can't see buttons properly, you can't tell whether something's selected or not. So the Windows high contrast has its issues, but it's depending on what you're doing, it can be super useful. We also have the ability to have the Windows magnifier read aloud to us. Now, what it doesn't do, and this is kind of annoying to me, is with ZoomText, by default, you will get mouse echo. So as you move the mouse around, whatever the mouse is on will be read aloud to you. Windows magnifier doesn't even have that option at all for mouse echo. Now, you could use narrator along with Windows magnifier, but to my mind, they should just add mouse echo.
I wonder if mouse echo is even an option in narrator. I haven't tried it now that I think about it.
It is in narrator. It definitely is with NVDA. I think it is in narrator.
Yeah, I haven't tried. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so I don't know why they don't just implement that. It would be so helpful.
It would be very, I agree.
Yeah, so maybe they will do that at some point, but we can ask the Windows magnifier to read aloud to us, and there is a keyboard shortcut. I think by default it's Control and Alt and then a left click will read whatever you clicked on. Actually, we can try it right now. I don't actually know if that's a shortcut on this computer. But
Yeah, it might have gotten changed at some point.
Here link.text.
there we go. So we heard that shortcut there. Apologies if it's a bit quiet. It's coming through my mic.
Here.link.text.
Let me click on this one.
Microsoft Edge.
Oh.
And so on and so forth. So if we have an email, a Word document, whatever, ZoomText can do this as well. And as I said, ZoomText has more options. But the Windows stuff is just generally a little bit more reliable, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And again,
snappier.
Snappier, and it's all built in there. So, yeah, we've run out of time here. But I mean, I think we said everything that we need to say, really. I mean,
I truly believe that if anyone is interested in Windows and anyone is interested in magnification on Windows, your first start should always be Windows magnification.
Yeah, for sure.
Start there. It's free. There is no investment on your part except time. If it works for you, then your next step is, if you're satisfied, great. But if you're kind of left with wanting a little more options or clearer with the font smoothing, then go ahead and download the copy of ZoomText, run it in 40-minute mode, and try it out. Freedom Scientific or Vispero also offers 90-day license for most of their products, so you could always purchase a 90-day license if you want and try it out for 90 days and then make your decision at that point if you want to go with a year or outright. But again, I do think your first step should always be starting with Windows Magnifier because, again, they're free and they're very similar in most cases. If Windows Magnifier works for you, ZoomText is going to. If you can't read anything with Windows Magnifier, there's a good chance ZoomText won't work for you. Potentially, maybe it could with some of the more customization, but really, if you can't see anything with Windows Magnifier, it's probably a safe bet. Exactly.
For the general user, I'd say Windows Magnifier is almost certainly going to do the job for you for what you need to do. So yeah, if you weren't aware of either of those, then give them a try. Why not? They can definitely be helpful. Thank you, Travis here confirmed that Mouse Echo is available in Narrator. So thank you for that,
thanks.
Travis, and also says thanks for the information and sharing our perspectives, and thank you for that also. Yes, if anybody has any questions about these, you can always get in touch with us, and we are always happy to chat. So I'll go ahead and put my telephone number into the chat here.
And as Luke is doing that, he'll probably bring up the YouTube slide in just a moment, but I do want to mention our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VisionForward Tech Connect. Our video that'll be posting next week, Thursday, we are asking the audience for help. We want to continue to improve our Tech Connect Live series and improve our Tech Connect videos on our YouTube channel. So we'll have a giveaway that is going on where if you subscribe to our channel and put comment in on how we can improve the channel, things you like, things you don't like, is it too long, too short, jokes aren't funny, whatever it might be.
Don't tell us that. That'll break my heart.
Yeah, well, that's we purposely. But you'll be put in for a drawing, and you can check out the video. Like I said, next week Thursday, you'll see that video drop, and you can see hear and see the details on that giveaway.
Indeed, and we will be back in 2 weeks for Jonathan.
Oh, you know what? I put out I did the whole thing too. What is? Real Sam with
Anat, yeah.
Anat, yep.
Yes, yeah. So we'll have a guest on, Anat Nullman, and hopefully I'm pronouncing the name correct. And Anat will be showing us the Real Sam. This, if you're not aware, is a fully voice-controlled phone, so designed for those who, are not good with touchscreens and don't want to use physical buttons. They just want to talk to their phone and have it do good stuff.
Hey, Zoomy, make a call.
No.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I mean, one of the things you can do with the Real Sam is add contacts with your voice, which is something that a lot of people
no one else can do right now.
Yeah, except maybe the Louis app that we looked at some time ago. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but anyway.
Besides the Louis.
Besides the Louis, yes. But yes, we'll be looking forward to having Anat on and taking a look at that phone. And in the meantime, then I hope you all have a great couple of weeks, and we hope you will join us again soon. Bye for now.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us for another Tech Connect Live. If you enjoyed Corey and Luke's antics, be sure to join us next time. For all things Tech Connect, go to vision-forward.org/techconnect.